everyone. It's a pleasure to welcome you to Michigan State University Clarinet Spectacular 2007. And we are live on the internet, broadcast by banddirector.com. So I'm going to be announcing these things every segment. I want to thank everybody who's here. And I see some wonderful faces out there. Mr. Topliff, who is, without him, we would not have this festival this year. So he has generously been a sponsor for today. I also want to thank banddirector.com for being here, Dave Knox, and I want to thank, of course, MSU College of Music, Marshall Music, Meridian Music, and, of course, Buffet Crampon, Clarinets, Con Selmer, and also Suzanne Hirth for the nice flower arrangements, which we just brought out. So what we're going to do, we're going to talk just a little bit, and then we have 4 participants who are going to play. And they range in the spectrum of high school students to college students. And so I'll just get started with this. Our topic today, of course, is the thing that all the students want to do. And sometimes, they come to their lessons and I say, what do you really want to do? What excites you about clarinet? And some will say, the answer I'm looking for is, I want to become the greatest clarinetist in the world, or I have a passion for playing the clarinet. And some will say, I want to win the audition. Okay, so I think the first, most of them say, I want to win the audition. They want to, get that job and everything. And that is, of course, our ultimate goal. But our ultimate goal is to become the best player you can, and through a passionate, path. To learning everything you can about the clarinet. So I'm talking about today about entering college, steps to getting into the college of your choice. But we're also talking about the young professionals who are almost finished, perhaps with their doctorate, or they're in their master's, and they're seeking to get a university position or an orchestral position. And so we're going to cover all those, the spectrum today of the possibilities for a clarinetist. Of course, you heard wonderful playing this morning. All those students went through the same thing. They all have secured positions at universities. They play in orchestras around the country, things like that. So it's a combination of being very tenacious and having a real drive to be the most outstanding player that you can. And at the same time, one thing I always ask students when they come to audition, I say, do you like to practice? And some of them will say, no, but I like to perform. And then I start to wonder. I say, well, if you don't like to practice, you're probably in the wrong business, because you really have to enjoy that day-to-day experience with your instrument, as well as being on stage, because your preparation in the practice room, in the ensembles you play in your lessons, in attending concerts, that's what's going to really drive you to become the best player possible, and the best all-around musician. Because after all, as a teacher, as a player, our ultimate goal is to communicate our musical thoughts and ideas through the music. So the clarinet happens to be your avenue, or your, it's your way to make music, but you really want to have a passion for it. I think that's really key to being successful. And I know a lot of students say to me, when they come in, when they're freshmen, they say, I want to be X, principal clarinet in the Boston Symphony, or I want to be, a college teacher in 10 years. And my answer to them always is, I'm not sure what you're going to be, but my job is to make sure that you're ready to, engage yourself in any avenue of playing that comes your way. Because often when you're a youngster, you don't really know what the opportunities or the possibilities are for you. Plus, they haven't really developed to know, is their niche in solo work, or is it in chamber music, or in orchestral? And most of all, we just have to be well-rounded as players. And I do believe that you find your path as a player. If you're really tenacious about it, you will find your way. And I've seen that happen. We saw it with the young students who played this morning, and I've seen it many, many years. So anyhow, I'm going to just say a few do's and don'ts, okay? For those of you who are trying to get into either undergrad or graduate school, there's some things that you really want to do. We'll talk about that today with John Martin at 3 o'clock in room 206. But there's some things that students, sometimes they miss the boat on because they just haven't been schooled in it. And one thing you want to do, first of all, instead of choosing 20 schools that are your top 20, narrow it down and look, come to things like this, talk with the teachers, talk to students who have graduated from those schools, and make a lot of visits before you actually decide where you're going to audition. Then you want to think about, oh, okay, these are my top 3 to 4 schools. Because I find that a lot of students, by the time they get to their auditions, they're so tired of all the application process and all of the, the travel and things like that, that they feel they're not playing at their best, and they wouldn't be able to really assess what the university has to offer them, because it just becomes like a mouse on a treadmill, and you want to just really be very specific about your goals in that way. Remember that you always have to apply to the university and the College of Music or the School of Music. So there's always things, because many of you are very talented youngsters, so you want to be considered for scholarship. And sometimes you can't be if you haven't applied early enough. And you want to select your repertoire well in advance, and I suggest always being with a private teacher if you possibly can, because that will really get you grounded, and it's in your early development that will really you'll be able to promote yourself best when you come to a college. Because some students have really excellent abilities, but they just haven't developed it to the level that they could get accepted to university. That doesn't mean that they're not talented. It just means that they didn't have that the fundamental background to get them there. So the thing is, also, you always want to warm up. For instance, these young students who are playing, they say, come in here and warm up a little bit. You don't want to get to an audition and suddenly, oh, I didn't warm up. And you want to check your reads and things like this. Another thing that I find a lot of students do at the last minute, they change their repertoire. So try not to do that. You want to choose pieces that really showcase what you can do. You want to show your technical abilities, your tonal abilities, and your musicianship. Okay?